Hi, welcome back to part 4 of the Thinline Telecaster build. In the last episode we did the chambering in the body, and in this episode I'm going to take the two pieces of timber we prepared in episode 1 and get them ready for making into the top of the guitar. So we cut this timber way back in episode 1, but I've left it for a little while just to acclimatise to being cut in half like this, just to make sure that if any twisting was going to occur, it occurs before we do anything else to it. Now there's still a risk that once I thin this down to the 6mm that I want, that there's going to be some twisting or some movement again. Probably a risk I'm just going to have to take. At the moment we're probably about double the thickness that we need. So I'm going to have to run this through the thicknesser. Running something through a thicknesser to get it down to about 6mm isn't really a brilliant idea. So what I'm going to do is I've got some little offcuts of some other material that's quite stable, quite flat. So I'm going to attach my pieces of timber to these sleds and then run that through the thicknesser. So as you can see, I've just attached the timber to this sled with super glue and masking tape. That's going to do a couple of things for me. It's going to support the timber as it goes through the thicknesser, which is great, but it also gives me a good reference surface to use my digital vernier to measure the thickness. So I'll make sure I get it down to exactly what I need it to be. Okay, so we got there. We've got these down to roughly where they need to be. I think it's also clear that I need to be putting some new blades into my thicknesser. That took absolutely ages, but we are there. They're a little bit rough, so I'm going to leave them on the sled for a minute, and I'm just going to give them a quick flick over with a plane just to clean that face up a little bit more, and then we can start to prepare them for gluing up. So that's a very quick skim over with the plane. Got most of the gnarliness out of them. They're not perfect, but I'll be giving these a really good sand down later. But what this has revealed, and I don't know if the camera can pick this out, but there's actually a nice little bit of figure in this wood. It's not stunningly beautiful, but there's a little bit of movement in there, which is an unexpected bonus. Right, so next I just need to get these off the sleds and we can think about getting them ready to join. So this is how I want my two pieces to go together. They're not far off. They're not far off at all. There's just a little bit at each end that I need to straighten up. So to do this, this is the top face. I'm going to put them both in the vise like that. So in theory, it doesn't matter what angle I plane these at, because once I lay them flat again, they'll counteract and flatten right out to give me a perfect joint, in theory. Just going to add a couple of little clamps there just to keep them together as best I can. And then I'll just plane these until I get the fit that I want. So I'm getting a full shaving now right across both pieces, so hopefully that should be nice and straight. And it's not quite. A little bit of a gap at the front edge. See how we've done now. Yep, I'm happy with that. So next thing is to get them set up and glued together. Okay, before I go too much further, I just want to take a jump back onto the last project. This little beaut. If you watch the series for the Great Guitar Build Off, you'll be familiar with this. If not, what you're playing at, get that watched. I just want to catch up on a couple of little bits relating to the guitar. And also just my thoughts on the competition and how it went and how it ended up. But first off, the guitar. As I said when I was building this thing, I didn't really have sufficient time to polish the paint properly. It really wasn't hard enough to do it at that point. It's still probably not quite there. I think about another week or two and we'll be there, so we could give that the polish that it deserves. You can see if you get close up to it that the paint has shrunk back into the pores of the wood a little bit, which I fully expected, but I'm fine with that. We will get it sorted out. The second bit is, I don't know if you can see that, I've bought a replacement bridge for the one that I initially put on. This one is a compensated bridge. It's got great big goofy screws sticking out of the back of it. Don't like it, just looks horrible. So I've bought a replacement. It's not compensated. It's nickel plated aluminium, so it's very, very light. It does have the adjustment screws, but they're a lot smaller, a lot more discreet. By Faber. I've not used their stuff before, so I'll let you know how that goes. And the last bit is I'm currently researching and buying materials and stuff to create a silk screen, so I can do a headstock logo in gold that will be silk screened on. But that's still a work in progress. I probably will do a video just to update on the last few bits that I do to the guitar in a few weeks' time. As far as the actual competition goes and the outcome of the competition and everything, I'm really happy, to be honest. The Great Guitar Build Off for me was an amazing journey. I enjoyed every single minute of it. Not so much the finishing process. Didn't enjoy that a great deal, but I think the outcome was okay in the end. But apart from that, I thought it was great. I thought it was a tremendous experience for me, and I know a lot of other people enjoyed their involvement with it, whether that was making or just watching the videos. I think the guitar that won it thoroughly deserved to. Thought it was really, really well done. A very novel idea. I have to admit, when I first heard what Laura had planned, I was a little bit dubious. It's the kind of thing that if it's not done brilliantly, could look really, really naff, but it was flawless in its execution, even down to the pickup nose, brilliant. And I think pretty much all the other guitars in the top 30, and definitely the guitars in the top 5, were just brilliant. Really, really great guitars. I didn't make the top 30, never really thought I would, and I'm not bothered. And that's not just like some form of cognitive dissonance on my part. For me, being in the competition wasn't about winning, it wasn't about prizes or any of that stuff. I just wanted to have some fun, and I wanted to give other people an insight into what I do and also what I think is possible for other people to do. For me, the best outcome by far, even beyond having this guitar, which is something I've wanted for a long time, a white SG Junior, has just been kind of on my want list from when I was a teenager. The thing that's given me the most pleasure is talking to people in the comments section on my YouTube channel and them saying to me, I've watched you build that guitar and I think I can do it and I'm going to have a go. And I've heard from a couple of other people via different channels who have also said the same, and that's absolute gold dust for me. That's the kind of stuff that's going to keep me coming down the shed night after a day at work, to build this stuff, to make these videos and to share it all with you. So seriously guys, those of you that have said that, thank you so much. It means a great deal to me. I suppose the only other thought I've got is looking forward now to the Great Guitar Build Off 2021. That's got to happen, Ben. That really has got to happen. I think it's going to have to take a slightly different route than it did this year. As good as the official competition was, I think the heart and soul of the Great Guitar Build Off 2020 was all the unofficial builders who were out there with virtually nothing to gain, who did it anyway. So bring on 2021. I'm thinking about it already. Anyway, back to the build. So gluing the two halves of the top together could be a tricky job. They're only 6mm thick, so there's potential for all sorts of issues there. The way I'm going to do it is a way I've done a number of times before, and it's always worked really well for me, that doesn't involve any clamps at all. So what I've done here on the bench is basically I've got two pieces of 3mm plywood underneath the centre of these two boards. I put a row of pins in against the edge of one, and then I've pushed them together and put a row of pins in against the other edge. And then what will happen is once I've glued them up, and put them back in, it's not quite enough room for them. So as I push down, that supplies all the clamping pressure that I'm going to need. And then I will just put a nice big stout piece of wood on there and add a bit of weight with some highly technical bricks. And hopefully that will give us a really nice glue joint along the top. Now you really don't need very much at all of the trusty type bond. Okay, leave that overnight and see what we've got in the morning. Okay, that's it for this one. We'll be back very shortly with part 5. As always, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel or haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. It does make a huge difference to me. And I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.